Welcome to the Genealogy Gems podcast. It's a show filled with family history, research, strategies and techniques, news and entertainment, and inspiration. And I'm your host, Lisa Louise Cook. Hello and welcome to Genealogy Gems podcast episode number 143. This is the show where we talk about all things that are family history, and I've got some genealogy stories for you and a special interview that I think that you're really going to enjoy. I wrapped up my recent round of travels last week with a trip to Sumner, Washington, where I spoke at the Autumn Quest annual seminars sponsored by the Heritage Quest Library in Sumner, Washington. It was a packed room. We spent the whole day talking about how to find your family history in newspapers, using Google Earth for genealogy, how to find your living relatives, and most importantly, how to save your research from destruction. Now, this was particularly a nice trip for me because I was really returning to my old stomping grounds. Bill and I met and married in that area of the Puget Sound, and all of our kids were born there, and so we still have a lot of relatives in the area. So we also got to spend some time visiting relatives after the seminar. In fact, there seemed to be kind of a bit of serendipity involved in this particular speaking engagement, which we booked many months ago. Because recently, Bill's mom made the big move to a really lovely retirement home, and she really wanted her kids to get together and go through the house and pick up the items that they wanted to keep and then prepare the house to be rented out. And as it turned out, amazingly enough, this was the ideal weekend to corral all four kids together to do just that before all the renovations got started on the house. So after Saturday's seminar on Sunday, we all got together. And although my mother-in-law was really very happy to have moved, and she really wanted the kids to do this, it was just hard to get started. I think it was really hard for them. Now, since I didn't grow up in the house, it was a little easier for me to kind of see the task at hand from a more practical point of view. And so I was sort of nominated to guide the process. And it actually worked out really well. Everyone was very comfortable with how the remaining items got divided up, and there were lots of family photos to go around, so it all worked out great. And I was fortunate enough to receive my mother-in-law's father's original Royal typewriter. Now, I think this thing is probably from about 1910, and it's in pristine condition. So it's all cleaned up. It's in my studio now, inspiring me to continue writing and blogging. It's really cool. And I also received, this is even better, a small journal, and it has the handwritten life stories of both of her parents. So I have my work cut out for me. I need to get busy assembling the stories and the photographs all together, and I hope to get some of those coffee table books printed up, as well as do a video for the family that the whole family can enjoy. So we'll see if I can get that done by Christmas, hopefully. And I'm sure that many of you listening have also gone through this process of closing down a parent's household. So if you have an interesting story or came across an unexpected gem while going through a process like this, email me at genealogygemspodcast@gmail.com or call and, better yet, leave your story in your own voice on the voicemail line at 925-272-4021, and I just might share it in an upcoming episode. And I have another story to share with you. Now, I mentioned to you that I taught the class Save Your Research from Destruction up at the Autumn Quest seminar. And although that title may sound a bit overdramatic, time and time again, it really proves to be true. Our research needs to be saved from destruction because that happens surprisingly more often than you'd think. That the genealogy research we've worked so hard on, the family tree we've compiled, all the photographs, oftentimes can end up, dare I say it, in the dump. Now, one example of saving things from destruction is a story I recently came across that was originally in the LA Times. It's called Saved from the Dumpster, Amazing Map Collection Makes Librarians Tingle. John Feathers had a very specific, lifelong passion for maps, and when he passed away last February, A real estate agent named Matthew Greenberg was charged with emptying his 948 square foot house. The house was about 90 years old, and they were going to get it ready to be demolished to make way to subdivide the property. Well, Greenberg found maps, old maps, stashed in every nook and cranny of the house. According to the article, there were tens of thousands of maps. Fold-out street maps were stuffed in file cabinets, crammed in cardboard boxes, lined up on closet shelves, and jammed into old dairy crates. Wall-sized roll-up maps, once familiar to school children, were stacked in corners. Old globes were lined in rows atop bookshelves, also filled with maps and atlases. They even discovered that this man had removed all of the electronic components from one of those big console stereos, and he filled it with maps. Thankfully, the agent couldn't bring himself just to toss this incredible map collection away, especially after he read a recent Los Angeles Times article about the Central Library's map collection. So instead, he invited its map librarian to take a look, and when he saw it, he called it unbelievable. In fact, it says, quote, "I think there are at least 1 million maps here," he said. "This dwarfs our collection, and we've been collecting for 100 years. According to the article, it took 10 library employees and volunteers to box up all the maps, and the new map acquisition now makes Los Angeles Library one of the country's top 5 library archives, behind the Library of Congress and public libraries like New York, Philadelphia, and Boston. They expect that cataloging and organizing the maps is going to take as long as a year to do. Quote, "We may have to apply for a grant to sort through the fold-out maps and ask for help from the Library of Congress. The collection will take up to about 600 feet of shelving." Veteran map dealer Barry Ruderman of La Jolla wasn't able to put a price on the collection, but after inspecting it, he discovered that the oldest piece was a 1592 map of Europe. Can you imagine? I will have a link in the show notes if you are interested in reading the entire article from the LA Times about this amazing map collection. And I will also have a link so that you can take a look at some of these maps for yourself online. Thank goodness there are folks like Matthew Greenberg who came to the rescue of a century of old maps and saved them from destruction. He is a genealogy gem. Okay, well, as promised, I have a special interview for you in this episode, and that is coming up right after this. It's here, the new version 5 of the award-winning Roots Magic genealogy software. It makes researching, organizing, and sharing your family history easier and more enjoyable than ever. If you're looking to take the next step in your family history research and start recording your family tree in your own genealogy database, or if you've really been wanting to make a switch to a much more user-friendly program, then do what I did. I chose Roots Magic, and I'm really glad that I did. Throughout its 10-year history, Roots Magic has helped people research and share their family trees with innovative features like moving people from one file to another with your mouse, a source wizard to help you document your work, creating a shareable CD to give to family and friends, and running Roots Magic off of a USB flash drive when you're away from home. Roots Magic also received the award for easiest to sync from Family Search for their work in interfacing with that system. Really, what are you waiting for? Download your risk-free trial of Roots Magic 5 at rootsmagic.com. See why professionals and beginners alike choose Roots Magic at rootsmagic.com. Been a longtime fan of the Flip Pal portable scanner, and I use mine all the time. Now, you've probably heard me mention the Flip Pal on the show before, and I often have specials on the Support the Podcast page on my website where you can save some money, and at the same time, your purchase helps to support this free podcast. Well, over the years, I have received questions from many of you who are trying to decide if it really makes sense to get a portable scanner, and who also want to understand what it can do for them, as well as tips on how to use it. So I decided it's about time to get all the answers together for you about portable scanners, and specifically the Flip Pal. We'll get them all together in one podcast gem. And who better to get these answers from than the inventor himself, Gordon Nuttall, CEO of Current Incorporated, the company behind the Flip Pal. So come on, let's go find out what everybody is flipping out about. Well, hi, Gordon. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Lisa. It's nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, the Flip Pal scanner has become really popular in the genealogy community. I know that there are other niches like scrapbooking and other areas that use it, but boy, it's sure taken off for those of us doing our family history research. What was the impetus for creating the Flip Pal scanner?
Well, our company is Current. That's sort of the parent company for the Flip Pal mobile scanner. And I worked for Hewlett-Packard for 31 years. And just about 11 months away from being retired, I was a part of a workforce reduction. We call it a WFR, Wooford. and so I was with a whole group of other people this would be back in 2008. And, I realized after working with a lot of these people in a networking organization, what a tremendous amount of talent the downsizing of the economy was making available. And, I would be working with people, and I thought, there's enough fantastic talent who have worked with big companies and small companies to start your own company. And I go, that's actually a very interesting idea. And then we thought about, there's a lot of products these days that are produced by the bigger companies that are sort of a one-size-fits-all. You know what I mean? They're made to be used by everybody somewhat equally.
Exactly.
But I thought that there was a real niche, many small niches like scrapbooking and genealogy, where a product that's designed just for those people was a better fit. But the bigger companies didn't take enough effort or weren't interested enough in those smaller niches to, put the development time into it. So I go, hey, that's another opportunity also. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily an orphan product, but something that's really just perfect for a specific group of people. And then the third thing that was sort of leading me in this direction of starting a new company back in 2008 was the idea that many of the big companies are really run by the numbers. What does it take to make our company attractive to the stock market? And I felt like the people values and the things having to do with a culture which really encourages innovation sometimes gets lost in that number shuffle. Mm-hmm. So, we started our company based on a foundation of our values. And we said we would like to be a company known for courage and integrity, collaboration, innovation, and care. That's what we call CICIC, with collaboration being that center value, on a piano, how the middle C is sort of the reference point. And so for our company, it's all about collaboration and working together in a really open environment where everybody feels safe and there's not a lot of bureaucracy or, islands of people doing the things that are best for them, but not necessarily overall. Right. So we thought, okay, those three things, the people, the culture, and maybe the ability to innovate in ways that the bigger companies wouldn't, would be a great way to start a new company. And that's what we did. And then the Flip Pal was an area that we had pretty good experience with. Some of the people that the founding members of the Current company had worked in digital imaging for a long time, either with printing or scanning or digital cameras. So that combined with the talent that was available, that was just a great way to start out with the Flip Pal, a product that's really targeted closely to a specific niche, designed just to do things that aren't available from the bigger companies, all size, one size fits all kind of products. And that's how we got started. It was really, really interesting. You know, we did have a article written about us in the Money magazine in October 2011. They called that article Second Act, turning a layoff into a payoff. And that kind of captured the whole idea of how to bootstrap a company. And hopefully that gave some people across the United States some encouragement that says, you know, hey, if Gordon can do that with a group of people in Fort Collins, Colorado, you know, Main Street, Colorado, maybe they could do that too, and give them some inspiration to maybe take a step in a direction that they've been thinking about for a long time.
Yeah, because that's a big change for you. I mean, I'm sure you had entrepreneurial or project type things that you did at HP, but to go from within a company structure to the full high-risk entrepreneurial side of business, that's a big leap, and it sounds like it was a big leap of faith.
There is a lot of faith involved, but I have such a wonderful group of people that work with us that we are all, you know, moving this company forward together. We're co-creating it. It's not just a Gordon thing. It's really all about all of the people putting their heads together and working together. And that's really very enriching about what we're doing now. You know, you kind of get lost in a big company in terms of maybe you're pigeonholed. You're always sort of recognized as being a technology person or,
right,
you know, a marketing person. But in a small company, you get to do lots of different things, maybe things that you've always wanted to do before but never got the chance. And in our company, we can almost create those opportunities for people as the company grows.
Exactly. Now, I know that the core product that you have is the FlipPal, which, of course, is the portable scanner. And you've been expanding with some other items that go along with that. Is the scanning environment really going to be your mainstay and your focus, or do you envision down the road expanding that? And in what ways would you expand it?
Well, that's a great question because, yeah, when we formed the company, it was more than just the FlipPal as a product. We have, as you say, added accessories and rounded out all of the things that go wrong with that. We have plans for a slightly larger version that would be used more for commercial applications. Mm-hmm. But our company really does have other intents to create other business units as we go forward. Some in the surveillance area, some in areas outside of digital scanning like advanced displays. So we've got some very cool new products coming down the pipeline too.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, of course, for those listening, they are very focused on family history. And at some point, of course, nearly every family historian is going to find themselves at a relative's house, you know, with that rare opportunity to see old family photos that they haven't seen before. And of course, our first thought is, oh, I want a copy of this. But you face a lot of challenges when you're sitting there at the table with, you know, Aunt Emmy, who doesn't want to let you walk off with all of her photographs. And many of these may be in old magnetic photo albums, or they're photos and documents that are framed, so they can't really be removed. Give us an idea of how the FlipPal can solve those problems, and maybe some tips for, you know, how to get the best results in doing so.
Be happy to. Well, one of the things, hopefully people that are listening have seen a little bit about the FlipPal, but one of the unique things about it is you can take the lid off and you can see through it. Yes. So now what you do is you flip the scanner over and you put it on the picture when it's already in the photo album. You don't have to, you know, take it out. Maybe it's glued in, or maybe it's just really fragile and pieces are pretty loose, or it's got a piece of plastic over the top. You can keep that original safe because what we do is we take the scanner to the picture rather than try to take the picture out and put it on a flatbed scanner or give it somebody else to scan. Everything is safe and sound right there in the picture album or in the photo frame. A lot of times we have pictures on the wall that are really, really quite old, and you don't want to start taking those apart either. You know, they're masking tape holding them together, and you just don't want to involve yourself into any of those things. So that's how we designed the flip and scan technology, is to keep that original safe, but also have excellent image quality and just make it easy to use, because many times you don't want to be stuck in front of a computer scanning things, for hours and hours. We spend too much time maybe in front of our computer already. Why not make this a more enjoyable experience? So because the FlipPal has batteries and a SD card to store the pictures, you could be maybe watching television. People take it with them when they're watching the kids' soccer game, and they can be spending time doing that, or at the doctor's appointment. You can really make use of all of that off time because of the mobility of the FlipPal that isn't available anytime when you try to use a regular scanner. So we really thought that would be a very valuable thing. And then the fact that it's small, it scans a 4x6 photo, could leave out things that are larger than that. And so then we researched how to fix that problem too. And we have this software that we call Easy Stitch, which then what you do is you take the scanner and you scan multiple scans with a little bit of overlap on maybe a picture on the wall, for example.
Right.
Right? And you don't have to take the picture out. You scan it right through the glass, and our Easy Stitch software will put it all back together again. It stitches, if you will. It figures out which piece goes here and what piece goes there, and you don't have to do anything other than to select the pictures that you want to have stitched, and our software will do that all for you. So now you've got this whole wide range of things that you could scan. Pictures on the wall, quilts, artwork that somebody has drawn on the wall, and you can't take a digital camera to take a picture of that because, well, you probably know this too. A digital camera or a cell phone, the image quality just isn't going to do it.
Right.
If there's something that you really want to preserve and keep the really detailed parts of that, you need a scanner. A digital camera is not going to do the job for you. So that combination of that flip and scan technology and the Easy Stitch software are things that you just can't do anything with anything other than the FlipPal.
So you're really talking kind of outside the box. Did you just wake up one day and when did it hit you that you were going to bring the scanner to the object versus bringing the object to the scanner?
Well, my wife and her parents were in Arizona, down in Mesa, Arizona.
Right.
And so we were thinking for their 50th wedding anniversary, wouldn't it be great to make a DVD of their past, when they were kids and growing up without each other, and also when they were together. And what we did, Lisa, is we actually packed up a flatbed scanner and a computer, and we took it in our suitcases.
We've all thought of doing that.
And set it up on their kitchen table. And then, of course, she has photo albums that are old and pictures on the wall that were just covered with all these wonderful memories. And I would take the pictures off the wall and carefully, disassemble them and put them on the flatbed scanner and then put them all back together again. And after going through that experience of not only trying to pack a huge thing there and set it up, there was also the problem of taking everything apart, that she was really quite nervous, It was
I can imagine
stuff that had been on the walls for years.
Yeah.
And here it was the first time being moved after, 10 or 15 years. And there's this sense of nervousness. Is everything going to be okay? These are my pictures of my family growing up and my, cousins and relatives. And I figured, there's got to be a better way than doing all of that. And that's sort of how we changed the use model from taking the picture to the scanner. Instead, we now take the scanner to the picture. And that was really the breakthrough. It's not so much the technology as it is what we've done to change the way people use a scanner. Mm-hmm. That makes it great for, capturing all your family history, taking it with you if you go to a family reunion or something like that, where, as you say, there's pictures and stories being told when people are sitting around a table. Maybe it's a wedding or a family reunion or, Easter, and people are coming to your house and they are showing you all their pictures, and they want copies or you want a copy, but there's no way to do that conveniently. A lot of times what ends up happening is, you get all these pictures and you have little sticky notes on them, right? One that says, okay, send to Aunt Gertrude in Ohio and send 2 copies to my sister in Cleveland. And you've got this stack of pictures that you have to take somewhere and make copies of and then put them in an envelope and stamp them. And that is a lot of work. Mm-hmm. But with the FlipPal, while you're right there with people, you could be scanning the pictures as you're sitting at the table and you're talking about them. And you could even use the sketch kit to write on little annotations on there that says, okay, this is Dad when he was going off to World War II. And then you've got a printer right there. If you have one of these little portable printers, you can print copies of them right there, and everybody that comes to your family reunion or event, they can take their pictures with them right away. You don't have all of this list of to-do things to do later on.
Yeah, that's a great idea, bringing it and having it be one of the activities, going on at a reunion.
Isn't that fun?
And I agree that, the last thing that we want to do when we are sitting with the relative who this may be the first time they've really sat down and thought about the family genealogy, and we don't want to disrupt them. We don't want to, freak them out and scare them with things. And the idea of, like you say, even picking up the albums, turning them upside down, manipulating them, makes people's eyes get really big. They get nervous. Same thing, putting a microphone in front of somebody. We just want to keep it as low key as possible. And I think that's a real advantage. Now, I have to ask you, because you did mention, using your phone or something to take an image. And obviously, mobile technology is moving at lightning speed as well. How does the impact, particularly of the tablet, the iPad 3 came out with the new optical resolution, and obviously that's a focus of theirs to continue on. And there are scanning apps. Where do you see that infringing upon your market, or is there something more that you think that the Flip Pal brings that the tablets just really aren't going to be able to do in terms of scanning?
We're quite a ways ahead in the tablets. Even, the iPhone 4S has an 8 megapixel camera.
Yeah.
Which translates to about a little bit less than 100 DPI.
Ah, mm-hmm.
And, even our standard resolution is 300, and we can go up to 600. So, we're at least 3 times better and up to 6 times better than what you can get with the best cell phone on the planet, which was, I really think, the iPhone 4S. They did a great job of that digital camera.
Yeah.
But it still is a digital camera. It doesn't have the resolution to take high-quality pictures of things that you would want to archive for forever and ever. If you want to pass down a memory to your family and have that be really important over the years, you really do want something that's accurate. And, with other phones and even the digital cameras, first of all, it's hard to hold things steady enough to get something that's not fuzzy.
Right.
And there's almost always a little bit of an angle on it. Mm-hmm. If you put it straight down, straight over the top of the picture, then you'll get a flash reflection off of the surface. So now you've got this white glary thing in the picture. Mm-hmm. And if you then try to tilt it at an angle so you don't get the flash, what you get is something it's not square anymore. It's kind of a quadrangle kind of a look. Right. So you kind of get baby pictures with the head squashed at the forehead and shoulders that are broader than normal. So, it's just for us who are really interested in high quality and to have a memory that will be printable and people will look at it and be really enriched by that. I think you do need a Flip Pal for scanning kind of a quality look for that.
Well, and because we really are investing our time. You were talking about, while you can take it on the go and that's convenient, we're still investing a lot of time, and having a good quality image is critical. Talk to us again real briefly about the DPI, because that's a big question that a lot of people have is, what format should I be putting my images in? So, what format is the Flip Pal going to give us, and what is the DPI option?
Well, 300 DPI is our standard, and that'll scan at about 6 seconds or so. Mm-hmm. And if you want to get even higher resolution, there's a setting on the scanner that will let you set it to 600 DPI, which, well, when you think about it, it's actually 4 times more dots in terms of overall image quality.
Right.
But it goes a little bit slower. It's about 11 seconds to do the 600 DPI scan. Mm-hmm. We store the pictures in a JPEG format, but we have very low compression, which means it's almost as good as anything like TIFF or any of those other types of formats. Those other formats are sometimes used when you edit a picture a lot. When you do some Photoshop things with it or something like that, and you continuously change things. But JPEG is an extremely high quality image format, the way that we've implemented it. And so with that JPEG format and 300 DPI, the included 2 gigabyte card will hold, I think 1,200 or so pictures. So we're not so much worried about saving space on the 2 gigabyte card. We've got lots of storage included with the scanner. Mm-hmm. we really want to maintain your image quality, and that's why we do a really high quality job with our JPEG and all of our optics to make sure that you get really accurate colors as well as high resolution.
So you have the ability on your end to control the compression, or is JPEG a standard compression regardless of where it comes from?
The JPEG standard lets you have various levels of compression, which would decrease image quality but save space.
Right.
What we've chosen to do with FlipPal is to have the highest quality level, the lowest compression when we create the JPEG file.
So you can alter that, and maybe what you're compressing in a JPEG might be different than a different program that somebody might use. You're going to get on the higher end of the JPEG scale.
The highest end, yes. And you're right. When you, sometimes in a photo imaging editing program like maybe Photoshop, when you save things as JPEG, oftentimes they'll have a little slider or something that says extremely high quality, medium, and low.
Okay.
We chose to not confuse people by requiring them to set that compression ratio. We just decided we want image quality as our top priority. So we're going to just go with the highest level of image quality and the lowest level of compression that the JPEG standard allows.
Terrific. Well, now, of course, not everybody is really tech savvy. And as excited as you might be, when you get a new gadget, it can be really disappointing if you have to spend an hour trying to figure out how to use it. And I know when I got my FlipPal, I think I actually did my first scan within about 5 minutes, which really impressed me because even though I'm tech savvy, I don't have a lot of patience for long drawn out instruction manuals. So I'm wondering, was that a conscious decision on your part to make the unit that easy and quick to use?
Very much so. Our slogan for our company is that we provide these patented solutions, which FlipPal is, that are designed to be simple to use and offer a combination of benefits that you can't get anywhere else. And it's that middle sentence. It's about engineering work is sometimes it's easy to make things difficult to use.
Yeah, I believe it.
We encourage our engineering staff to work hard to make things simple to operate.
Yeah.
And I think the FlipPal reflects that design methodology, which is go ahead and spend the extra time to make something that doesn't have zillions of bells and whistles, but makes it hard for people to take it right out of the box and use it within 5 minutes. Because we want people like you and all of the genealogists out there to do their hobby, their passion. We don't want them having to learn another gadget, which we already have more than enough of already.
Right. Well, and I remember when I had a chance to try mine out, and then I jumped on an airplane and went to a speaking engagement, and I did a little demo of the FlipPal to show them how it worked. I think you guys had donated one, and they had given it away as a door prize. And I was really impressed that I had only done it just the one time at home. And by quickly just looking over this little paragraph of instructions, I was able to get up in front of the group, pull it out, do a scan, pop out the card, stick it in my computer, show them the images. I mean, they were impressed, but I was impressed too. I mean, I think that's a really huge advantage. Nobody wants to spend an hour figuring out how to scan a picture.
Well, thank you. It sounds like we did meet your needs on that.
Yeah.
Here's another idea that because the FlipPal is so easy to use by people who really don't need to learn an awful lot, is my daughter was married this past year, and I was in charge of doing the slideshow for the reception.
I bet you were.
Being the family historian or the collector of family history. And so, the first step is to have the pictures that she had in her own baby album that she grew up with and she has come to know and love already. But what I did then is I took the FlipPal and sent it to my sister in Denver. And she then had pictures of Jennifer when she was growing up and maybe visited for a week or something to spend time with the cousins. And so she was able to take the scanner out and, do a few, 8 or 10 scans of pictures of Jennifer. And then she sent it to my mom, who of course had pictures. And then we sent it over to Grand Junction, Colorado, to my other sister. And then we sent it to her fiance's parents, who had pictures of him. And then they all sent it back to me, and I had now this SD card with all these pictures that she had never seen before. scanned by people who had never used a scanner before. And then when we did the slideshow at the reception, she says, "Hey, Dad, where the heck did that picture come from?" These were things that she and I could tell her. "Oh, that was Aunt Dana, when you were 3 years old, and this was your birthday party. And oh, did you remember you fell in the swimming pool?"
Well, and the scanner is so light, it's very easy to ship. I mean, what a great idea to pass it around and just load it up.
Right. And we designed the package so you don't have to cut it apart with scissors to get the thing out.
Yes.
And so you can actually just hold on to the package and put it right back in there and put it in a box and send it to people. And that way you've got something even that's very shippable from one place to the next.
I did a very similar, slideshow presentation that my daughter and her husband showed just before the ceremony. And I know the work that goes into that, but boy, the joy that it brings to people is just immense. I mean, what a wonderful, wonderful project that you could use it for. Now, I just published a book. It's called How to Find Your Family History in Newspapers. And of course, when we're lucky enough to find original newspapers, and clippings, of course, one of the challenges is that the paper is so delicate, particularly if it's been around for a while. And I love the Flip Pal because I don't even have to move the clipping. I can, as you said, bring the scanner to the clipping. Do you have any tips for scanning fragile items like newspapers?
Nothing in particular, just knowing that the Flip Pal is so gentle, and putting things on a flat surface works out just fine. You really don't have to do anything special. So if you are holding it, which many of these articles are very fragile and have rough edges, treat it gently. The Flip Pal is going to be just as gentle as you would be with it too. I would only say, you don't want to scoot the scanner across the surface of the newspaper.
Right.
Just go ahead and pick it straight up and put it straight down again. And I think you'll be more than happy with the fact that it keeps that original safe and sound.
Would that be the same thing like when you're using the stitching technology, that we're not going to be sliding it along? Like, I think you had mentioned to me that there was a case of somebody doing that on a tombstone.
Yeah. You don't want to scratch the glass.
Right. Not a good thing.
Another tip, that now that you bring that up, you know how newspaper is a loose print. The paper, right?
Right.
And so you probably don't want to put it on a table that has like a wood grain that would actually bleed through. You'll get that bleed through on some of those things. So put it on a white surface if you have a choice. That'll prevent some of because, newsprint is printed on both sides. So what you'll do is, because the Flip Pal is such a sensitive optical instrument, it'll pick up the print on the back side of the newspaper if you have it on a surface that bleeds through.
Good point. And I know it runs on batteries. Can you alter the settings? I mean, are we going to be just running through a ton of batteries, or how does the battery life work?
Well, we've built into it a lot of power management types of things so that it will dim the display after a setting you could set to 1 or 2 or 10 minutes. So that it, if you just get distracted while you're scanning and you leave it alone, it'll turn itself off, so that you don't burn the batteries off while you're not even using it. You have a phone call or something like that, and you're temporarily distracted from that. But that is one of the cool technologies that we built into this. Is we get about 400 and 500 scans from a set of these high-quality nickel metal hydride rechargeable batteries. Well, that requires some pretty clever engineering to do that and to manage the power in the device so that you get that many scans. And we've done, I think, a pretty darn good job with making sure that you aren't just burning through batteries. But I really like those new rechargeable batteries. They don't lose the charge if you leave them in a drawer for a long time. We have one that has a really nice charger with it. And, I think that having another set of 4 rechargeable batteries with you when you have the Flip Pal with you with your traveling, that's a great way to go. And, our carry case has that little pocket in the front.
Yes.
That's a great place to store your extra batteries and the sketch kit so that you always have it with you when you're traveling.
Right. You only have to have it happen one time that you're sitting there and the batteries die and there's no backup to learn the lesson. I know I have. I mean, particularly all the recording I do on the road, there's battery upon battery charger, but it's worth it, and like you say, these certainly do last a long time. So, Gordon, finally, I know that you have something called the sketch kit that genealogists might be interested in. Tell us about that.
Well, this is a great idea that we came up with, which is many times you are with your family and you're talking about the picture, and, you might be with great-grandma in Ohio for the one time that you've seen her for a couple of years, and she brings out a picture of, your great-grandfather when he was going into World War I. And you scan that picture in. With the sketch kit, what you do is it's a piece of clear plastic with a special pen. And what you do is you put the plastic over the picture, and you might circle great-grandfather and write in there, before going to World War I.
Yes.
And his name. And maybe something that was written on the back of the picture. You would write it right there on the sketch kit, and then do a scan of that sketch plastic over the picture, and now you have this picture with the annotation on it. Now you haven't written on the picture now, right? I mean, you don't want to damage that by writing things on the one and only picture of Dad 30 years ago.
But
or
you've
40
solved
years
that problem that we don't have to anymore. We can lay this plastic piece right over it and mark on it. And I saw this demoed at Roots Tech last year, and I thought it was terrific because you can take your initial image that's, beautiful and crisp and no writing, and then you can take a second one by putting the plastic over it, making your annotations, and now you've got, in a sense, your source citation for that photograph, which is, of course, what we're all about. We want to know where things came from and where we obtained them.
Yeah, it's a great way to remember things, because you might have remembered that conversation, but maybe you want to take that picture now and send it to all of your cousins and your sisters and brothers. Well, now they can know who that person in that picture is besides you. Maybe writing it in the email or something like that. It always is with the picture that way. That's very nice.
Yeah. Well, it's really been enjoyable to talk to you about this because it's interesting. You get a gadget and you can use it for the initial purpose that you originally think of, but sometimes we don't have a chance to really sit down and think about all these other possibilities. And you've talked about ways in which we can make our annotations, we can take them to family reunions, we can send it around the country to have relatives adding to it with their own images. Just so many different applications for something like this. It's pretty exciting. Now, you mentioned, of course, and I don't know how much you can tell us, but, what's coming down the road in the next 5 years for FlipPal and Corrigent?
I really can't say too much about that stuff. We will be having some public announcements of new products as we come up, and keep an eye out probably on the website for those announcements when we get a little bit further down the pike. Very cool. It's really about the people that we've assembled as much as it is about the gadget. I am so grateful for the people that have joined the Corrigent team, and we're co-creating this as we go, as a group of people that just enjoy working with each other. And knowing that we have that kind of a group of people working on similar products, like FlipPal is designed to be very easy to use, these other products are going to follow that same theme of maybe taking some technology that has been around for a while, but putting it together in a way that hasn't been done before, that just is very compelling for people to use for the things that they're passionate about in their life. That's what we call about enriching people's lives. That's sort of our model. That's what gives us the passion in our company, which is, we get a chance, many of us now are in our second or maybe third career, to do something that really does make a difference and enriches people's lives in ways that hasn't been done before. That's cool. That's really what our company is about.
Well, and during a difficult economic time, as it is these days, it's nice to hear that something as painful as a layoff could actually be the catalyst for something very exciting. Looking back, are you glad that it kind of turned out the way that it did?
It was hard at the first. Everybody, I had always expected after 30 years to have a comfortable retirement, Right. But this was sort of like, the eagle that has the bird in the nest, and one day you just have to get kicked out of the nest and learn how to fly before you hit the ground. And so with a group of people that all had similar sorts of interests, I think we've done that.
Well, I appreciate you coming to the show and telling us more about the behind the scenes and the uses of the FlipPal and kind of what your personal philosophy is in terms of your company. Very nice to meet you and get a chance to chat with you. Thank you, Gordon.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, Lisa.
Profile America, Friday, October 26th. Even with smartphones, iPads, and other electronic gadgets, just about everyone on vacation buys some picture postcards, either to send to friends or just to keep as a reminder of the trip. In the U.S., the first postcards were mailed this week in 1870. For many years, only the post office was allowed to print postcards. Beginning about 1900, private firms were allowed to produce them, and illustrations and photographs began appearing on them. These picture postcards were wildly popular, and by 1908, Americans were sending 678 million postcards annually. Postcards are among the more than 170 billion pieces of mail handled by the U.S. Postal Service each year. Profile America is in its 16th year as a public service of the U.S. Census Bureau.
Thanks so much for joining me for this Genealogy Gems podcast episode number 143. Thanks to Gordon Nuttall from Couragent Incorporated, the home of the Flip Pal. Great information on how to use the Flip Pal, what it can do for us, and how to make the most use of it. If you would like to get a Flip Pal of your own, I highly recommend it. I use mine all the time. It's amazing. And I love the fact that I can flip it over and not damage books and have to manhandle things. It's a fantastic tool for the genealogist. And of course, if you purchase it through our website, then you do something else that's really nice. You help support this free podcast. We are an affiliate of FlipPal. So head on over to the show notes and I'll have a link for you to the webpage on my site that will have information and a link to click to get to the FlipPal. Or also you can just go to the homepage at genealogygems.com. Scroll down and in the center column there you will find information. There's a little link that says shopping and support the podcast. And you can find it there as well. And just a couple more things wanted to mention to you. The new newsletter is going out. In the last one, we had a video about the internet, kind of how it works. In the next newsletter that's just coming out as you listen to this podcast, I found a neat little video about somebody who literally appeared to have predicted the internet and computing back in the 1930s. Pretty cool video. Show it to your kids. They're going to be interested. They're going to really find it fascinating. And in premium episode number 93, I've got something for you that I know that all of you have been asking for. We finally got a chance to put it all together. How the genealogist can remember everything with Evernote. If you're an Evernote user, if you have heard of Evernote, if you haven't heard about Evernote, you need to. This is going to be for everybody who has an interest in being a more effective researcher, taking quicker and easier notes, being able to find them at just one little click. Evernote is truly fantastic. It is built for the researcher, and that's what we do as genealogists. So come and join us at Genealogy Gems Premium Podcast episode number 93. This is the audio of a recent class that I gave on this topic, and I've also got a premium video for you so that you can participate in class right from the comfort of your own computer in your own home and your jammies if you want. Okay? I think you're really going to enjoy it. The class that I taught recently, wow, they were all just like big eyes going, oh my gosh, this is going to save me so much time and make me so much more of an effective researcher. So that's how the genealogist can remember everything with Evernote. This is a great overview introduction, shows you the nuts and bolts of how to get started. And coming up in the months ahead, you're going to be getting some more detailed instructional videos on using Evernote for genealogy. And that's all coming up in premium membership. If you're not a premium member yet, I hope you'll join us. In addition to this class, there are a whole page full of classes that you can watch from the comfort of your own home. And we've got Google classes and all kinds of different things. Google search, hard drive organization, lots and lots of great classes, plus over 90 premium episodes. So lots more gems coming your way. If you want to become a member, head to genealogygems.com and you'll find there in the center column, you can join and become a member today. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, friend. I'll talk to you soon.